Well, I think this is the problem. It's not that the far right have co-opted the flag. It's the fact that we don't seem to understand what this country is and the history of these symbols. So both of these flags which you've displayed here, those are the flags which flew on ships which enslaved my ancestors. Those are the flags which the British Army marched into places like India, Pakistan, Bengal, Africa, and colonized 25% of the world. The reason the far right picks up these flags and has consistently, since the 60s, 70s, since my parents' generation have been in this country, is because these flags represent the racism which they are putting out into the world.
What would you say? Man, that's tough, because I don't know if the flags that is something the flags for sure represent. We would be fools to disagree with that, right? Because English history isn't too good. It isn't too bright, but it is not all of its history, and there is good that came out of it. Yaps. It's in the name. All right, our favorite British man is out in the field getting lost again, yapping into the camera, and well, he is letting us know about Operation Raise the Colors, and ultimately we're going to follow this story because on September 13th, mark the calendars, boys, there's something happening over in good old England, in London. I don't know specifically in London, but as an American, I just think London is all of England.
Operation Raise the Colours. I'm sure you've seen it by now, but the English flag, or in some cases the Union flag, is being flown on streets up and down the country, absolutely everywhere.
What this is going to do is it's going to cause the immigrants that are flooding or really invading into England right now and not wanting to assimilate to the culture, if anything, being agitated by its culture. This is going to cause some friction.
And it is a beautiful sight to behold. In fact, I think this is nothing short of a genius tactical rebellion by the English people, but not everything is so rosy, because some of the people putting flags up in the street are now being seriously attacked. Yeah, let's talk about it. If you're Italian or American or Polish, you probably look at this and think, so what? Everywhere I go in Poland or Italy or America, I see my own country's flag.
Not only that, if I could pull up my mat, like my mat right here that I have my keyboard and mouse on, it's literally of the American flag. Like, it's normal to be super patriotic here and wear colors of the flag, and even the flag all the time, not like a literal flag, but the flag pattern all the time.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Except it is a big deal in England, because in England we don't fly our flag. We've been told, in fact, not even told, we've been gaslit for decades into thinking that we should be ashamed of our own flag, of our own history, of our own heritage, of our own culture. And if you don't believe me, take a listen to this.
Well, I think this is the problem. It's not that the far right have co-opted the flag. It's the fact that we don't seem to understand what this country is and the history of these symbols. So both of these flags which you've displayed here, those are the flags which flew on ships which enslaved my ancestors. Those are the flags which the British Army marched into places like India, Pakistan, Bengal, Africa, and colonized 25% of the world. The reason the far right picks up these flags and has consistently, since the 60s, 70s, since my parents' generation have been in this country, is because these flags represent the racism which they are putting out into the world.
What would you say? Man, that's tough, because I don't know if the flags that is something the flags for sure represent. We would be fools to disagree with that, right? Because English history isn't too good. It isn't too bright, but it is not all of its history, and there is good that came out of it.
My God, it's so boring. We get it. You don't like the English flag, you don't like English history, and it's not much of a leap to assume you also don't like the English people.
That's where the line is crossed. You cannot like the history, you cannot really care for the flag, but if you're gonna live in that country, you at the end of the day, you got to be the best member of the community that you can be, right? And that is not to be racist towards the people that were there before you.
And that is the tactically genius part of this movement, because it's forced people like Kehinde to say the quiet part out loud. They really don't like us. And this shouldn't surprise anyone. Kehinde Andrews wrote a book called The Psychosis of Whiteness. And then he has the gall to go on live TV and lecture us all.
Surviving the insanity of a racist world. From this viewpoint, he's the racist one.
About racism. Imagine if I'd written a book called The Psychosis of Blackness.
That would not go over well.
So listen, Kinde, if you don't like it here, if you don't like our history, our flag, our people, then leave, because nobody will miss you. Go. I mentioned at the start of this video that
at least over here in America, there's a lot of representatives and people who are in like positions of power, like political power, who are saying some of the craziest things about America, like Omar, for example. How can they even be a politician stating these things? And two, if you don't like America, then leave. Go back to your own country.
it looks like some of the guys putting flags up are now being attacked whilst they do it. A few nights ago in York, the police were called to an altercation between some allegedly Pakistani men and some English guys who were flagging their local area. Now, I don't know the full details of that story, but it just doesn't really surprise me. And then last night, apparently one guy had a petrol bomb thrown at him whilst he was in his car. Yeah.
Move your car, bro. Move your car. Fucking petrol bomb.
Leave?
Move the car, bro.
Why not just move it?
Putting flags up, got petrol bomb.
Dude, that's insane.
Fucking cowards. Bastards, mate. What do you think about this, mate?
No comment.
No comment? It's a bit weird,
impartial, mate.
Huh?
We're impartial.
Impartial? He's just been petrol bombed.
Hey, hey, hey! Out! That's filthy! Out! Annie!
Oh, my dog is named Annie too, and she would also be all up in that.
Gonna have to film that again now. Let's try that again. So I'll show you that clip just because I know that even though the guy did get a little bit hurt, he's in the care of the police and the paramedics, so he's gonna be completely fine, right? He's gonna make a full recovery. No. I think the moral of the story here is if you're going to go out flagging your local area, go with friends. Don't just be an easy target for people who want to give you trouble, who want to give you grief, right? Go with some friends. There is an interesting part of that clip as well. Towards the end of it, the police officer says, oh, we're impartial, we're impartial. Yeah, but you're not, are you? Because I've seen footage of you actively trying to stop people putting these flags up.
Hey, they're trying to wrestle us.
It's tough because as an individual, they may have their own bias and the things that they believe in as an individual, but they don't want to lose their job and their livelihood, so they have to follow the rules that they are given, right? So that's tough. It's hard.
Hey, we're wrestling with the ladders with the police. Go on, Belli. Fucking one of the Salford boys. Go on, Belli! Yeah! Wow.
I like seeing people have pride in the place that they live in. This is cool. I appreciate that. Now, if it was for another flag, this would be a completely different attitude.
Two people could.
Like, if that was like of a different flag, those immigrants going in there, I would think that's like, yo, they think they're sieging the Capitol. But since that's their people with their own flag showing pride, like that to me is a good sign, is a sign of positivity.
I find the psychology of everything that's happening in Britain at the moment really fascinating. And what you see here is a police officer trying to stop a guy who's completely exposed, he can easily be identified, from putting a flag up. And the guy says, no, I'm still going to do it. That's a real sign of psychological defiance. And I think you can really learn something about the mood of the country, or at least large groups of the country, by looking at these localized incidents. Sure. To me, that's really interesting. Maybe to you, that's really boring. Maybe that's one tiny little event that happened in the middle of nowhere.
It's a plot on the graph. And once more, this is only going to escalate. And there's a large organized event happening on September 13th that I think all of this is going to accumulate towards. For the better or for the worse, I don't know. But we're going to be here to watch, that's for sure.
I find it interesting. Anyway, enough armchair psychology. Let's check in with the BBC and look at how they're coping with all of this. Roundabouts vandalised to look like St George's flags. Okay, meanwhile, rainbow zebra crossings appear in resort. Interesting. Now, look, I understand that there is a salient difference between these two events. The rainbow zebra
So England is still woke. Got it.
Crossings were no doubt approved by the council, whereas a proud Englishman painting the flag of St George on the roundabout, that was not approved. And yet ultimately they are the exact same action, but the BBC has chosen to criminalise the Englishman using their language and their words. They could have just as easily written English flag painted on roundabout, but they chose not to. And so you can just get a sense through the language that the author is using that they hold contempt for the English flag and the English people. Whilst technically what they're saying by the letter of the law is probably true, it's ultimately a completely harmless act. We know that, right?
Once more, it's the mainstream media being disingenuous with how they portray the media. It's going to be bought and paid for, and when it comes to like what you're saying on TV or what even people are feeding you, always go back to the money. Always go back to the money, because at the end of the day, people are going to be looking out for themselves. How do they pay their bills? How do they get ahead in life? And how do they make as much money and as much power as possible? That's ultimately what it comes down to, always.
It's not going to do any damage. It's not going to stop anyone going around the roundabout, is it? Of course it isn't. Let's put this all into a little bit of perspective, because yes, right now people are flying the flag of St George up and down the country. But for a very long time, people have been flying a different flag across England, the Palestinian flag. And when I talk about this, I'm not making a point about Israel or Palestine, because I actually don't care. I'm an Englishman, this is England, and Israel and Palestine are not in England. I don't care.
Fair.
My point is about...
That's literally the same opinion that most Americans genuinely have about what's going on overseas. We don't care. We have so many issues in our home nation that we have to address and fix before we even think about going overseas and trying to fix problems over there, because we don't even know how to fix the problems that we have here.
About the flags and the response that the police and the council had to those flags. They did nothing. They made no effort to intervene. They didn't take any of the flags down. Absolutely nothing. In fact, it's worse than that. One Scottish guy made a video complaining that his entire street was plastered with these Palestinian flags, and the police came to his house and arrested him at 4 o'clock in the morning. Oh. I'm not even joking. Here is the video that got this man arrested.
Just come along Bethnal Green Road this morning, and this is the kind of that's going on. Yeah. So there's a look at this. Yeah, you see it? And then over here at this one, we've got this crap going on as well. Yeah. And then we come along to this pole here.
When this was happening in America, I wasn't a big fan of it for either flag. I wanted
like I said, that video had the guy arrested at 4 o'clock in the morning. Now that was a year ago, and I think the mood of the country and in fact the mood of policing has changed since then. And the reason it's changed is because the English people started to stand up for themselves. They started to say, no more will we just be bullied and thrown around at will, okay? We're gonna start fighting for our own existence. And that's why the mood towards us has changed, why it's softened. Because we're finally showing a bit of goddamn strength. This is England, we are English. If we want to fly our flag, we have every right to do so. Now, some people will want to say that this is an insignificant thing, but I really don't think it is. As I said at the start of this video, I think it's really clever. It's forced our opponents to make a whole bunch of errors. The first style of error that we saw with Kehinde Andrews is when people have to come out and say, I don't like you, I don't like your history, I don't like your culture, I don't like your flag. Okay, so now they're just exposed, and we look at that and we go, okay, well, at least I know what you don't like, and it's me, so I guess I also don't like you back. The other style of error is the one that Keir Starmer has made, because Keir Starmer's had to come out and say, oh, I support this. I like seeing the flag of St George flying all over England. Does he really? I suspect not. But he has to say it. He's the Prime Minister. How can he not say that he wants to see the flag of England flying in England? And yet some of the people who vote Labour, right, are going to be quite angry about that. Some of the radical leftists are going to be really unhappy with what's going on here with the flag flying everywhere. So that's another forced error. And finally, the councils and the police who are trying to stop these flags going up, look, that is going to push more and more people to the right wing. They're going to be radicalised by that, because they're going to look at it and they're going to just think to themselves, why am I not allowed to fly the flag of St George, my own nation's flag, in my own nation? That's absolutely ridiculous.
It absolutely is ridiculous.
Makes no sense. And then they're going to start to understand it. They're going to start to look at it and go, there really is a two-tier system, isn't there? Because Palestinian flags are allowed to fly everywhere, but the flag of St George is not. So yeah, I think this is very, very clever. To those who are, determined to go out and put flags up,
Be safe.
It's up to you if you decide to do that or not. I obviously can't recommend that you do that. But if you are going to do it, please try and do it in as safe a way as possible. Take some friends with you so that if there's someone else about and they're not happy with your actions, at least you're not a really easy target.
Yep.
And also to make sure that, you know, you've got someone to hold the ladder for you. Just don't hurt yourself. Don't get yourself hurt. Try and avoid confrontation. But yeah.
It's so interesting because I feel like a lot of this tension, and I know so many people get frustrated when I make this comparison, but it's the only comparison I've lived through and can relate to, so forgive me. But a lot of these world issues are so similar, right? With India and the people and being frustrated with the government, with England being frustrated with the people in power and the politicians in their government. Over here in America, people being conflicted with, you know, all the lies of the education system that were brought up and fed to, like, realizing a lot of it's a lie and it's manipulated. And that a lot of these issues just stem from the people in power just with power, with absolute power, or corrupted absolutely. It's that age-old saying that absolute power corrupts absolutely. And that seems to be a human flaw, not a nation's flaw. Like, that's America has it, England's facing it, Greece is facing it, France, India, like, it's all over the place. And it's just it's I don't know how we get past it, but we're going to be here to watch and document all of it, and I'm going to give my unsolicited opinion on it. So with that said, give me your opinions down below in the comments. Genuinely, I'm interested, and I appreciate all the feedback that you guys have given me over these past few weeks with me kind of becoming full swing again with my new job, actually allowing me to have a little bit of balance back in my life. Your boy's back, so we're just going to keep doing this thing. And once more, mark the calendars, September 13th. Something big is supposed to be going off, so we'll see. And leading up to then, the world is ever changing, so there'll be plenty of things for me to yap about. So share it to friends, that way they can lose some brain cells too. Make somebody laugh today, and I'll see you guys again in the next one. Peace.